How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. This is what the storytelling is?
Yes.
Back here?
That was awesome. Now for the bridge, the middle part of the song. I want you to think of a lovely bird. A lovely bird that you might have seen or dreamt about recently. What is a bird? I want you to make your arms be the wings of that bird. And we're going to sing Sia Hamba 3 times while we act like the bird that we saw earlier. Ready? Here we go. Sia Hamba.
Good morning.
Sia Hamba. Sia Hamba.
This is a matchlock, right?
Yes, it is.
So very typical of what the, Dutch would have carried. And it's the kind of weapon that, you know, even if you broke the lock off, you still had a big iron shot club.
I know. To club somebody with it.
Or someone with. But
this is where
so
you
this
put the
is,
powder
yeah,
in there, right?
You put yes, the very fine powder.
Very fine powder, priming
Your
powder.
coarser powder goes down the barrel.
And that's
That's the cord here.
yeah, the
That's the
cord.
edge cord.
And so that's
Now-
burns kind of like a cigarette end.
Now let me not today's cigarettes. Because today's cigarettes burn out real fast. Because yeah,
But it has that same
it has the same.
If it's a coal, it's not shooting flame.
Now, let me ask you this. See, this always was a problem for me thinking, is they have to keep this far enough away from the fine powder that it wouldn't ignite right on the spot, right?
So that's why up to the very end you keep the, actually let me grab the biscuit and show you. You have everything closed up. You've already primed the pan and then you put the powder and everything down the barrel. So then the command comes to cock and try your match. You put your match in, you make sure it will actually hit the pan with the pan cover closed. Then you do a thing called guard blow and open your pan. So you take your hand like that, you go
Blow the coal up.
blow the coal
Blow the
up,
coal.
and then present your piece, open your pan, and then, not used to this one, give fire.
Oh, okay.
Like that, and hopefully your match will have like gone into the pan
So
correctly.
so you will not keep the match there on there all the time.
No.
You will
No,
take it off.
Take
Take it
it
off.
As soon as you
What-
fired it,
Yeah.
take it out.
While you're loading it with powder, with the balls and with the fine powder, then you put the match.
you put the
Oh, it's
match.
not on there all the time.
No.
Okay.
And in fact, all the different steps in the manual of arms is keeping that match, which you've got between your fingers like that, kind of doing a Star Trek.
Right.
Doing a Star Trek thing. So you're going through all of this, and then you cast it about. We're doing all your things here, and then you bring it back up. And then, finally, at that point, you take in
Oh, okay.
It's only at
cock
the
and
very
try,
last.
At the very
cock
end.
and then
Oh,
try your
okay.
match, and then it comes to the point where you actually fire it.
So you will keep that match between your fingers at all times.
Yes.
Exactly.
And
it
you
keeps
start
it-
off, actually, your sergeant issues you 6 feet to fathom.
Yeah.
So,
So you've
I
got
mean,
lots.
you have it coiled around your hand,
Yeah,
basically.
and basically hanging down and coming back up.
Now, was that cord impregnated with anything?
It was soaked in saltpeter,
Uh-huh.
so that's why it burned slowly with that kind of coal instead of just like burning right up and everything. And it would have, the match would have in period looked more like this stuff. It would have been very coarse,
Right.
fairly thick. This is obviously, modern hemp.
Right.
So it's, much more fine. But a friend of ours who was here yesterday has been working on making far more period style match, and, working it up. And it's been, I think he's had some challenges with it, but it's been,
Do you mind? I want to feel the weight of that thing.
yeah,
Oh, go right ahead.
yeah, great help.
Okay, it's not really that bad.
No,
I
it's not
thought
as
I
bad
thought it was like really heavy,
Yeah,
but it's
the
really
thing is
not.
It's balanced in a way that I think makes it easy to use.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to use.
There's some variety in the styles and length. Like that's kind of middle of the road. There are others that are actually bigger.
Ones in period back, especially at the breech section, could be really chunky, and they were heavy. They were 16, 17 pounds because the barrel was so massive.
Right.
It could be like that size back in the breech section, and then tapering down.
Tapering down. Okay.
Quite a lot.
Okay. Now this also had a very shorter range than a flintlocks, right? That came later.
You know, quite honestly, they're all smooth bore
Right.
pieces. So, you know, this has quite a long barrel. So,
Right, so
you
that
know,
it kind of
it kinda,
imparts
that
a little
helps-
bit
it
of a
imparts a little bit to it.
but not much. Because
Not till you get a rifled barrel.
Right, this
Yeah.
is not rifled
It's
yet.
not rifled. They did have rifled barrels, but they were very high end.
Yeah, high end, or for what is it called? The German word for it, the snipers that they used to use back in the day.
Things like that. And,
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
You know,
And it's
German
hunting weapons for
hunting
really
weapons.
Right,
high-end.
right, high end.
You know,
Again,
the
the-
Germans love to hunt.
Yeah, yeah,
you know,
yeah, yeah.
And so, like, you
The
know,
one
you
percenters got to have things like
got
that.
to
Yeah.
have like extremely high-end, expensive pieces.
Now the thing you have on there, that's for holding the powders,
Yeah,
right?
this is one shot.
Individual measure for each.
For each shot.
I saw a picture of Blackbeard. You know, a drawing, and he had a whole roll of that. So what is that? And later on, and then I saw all the pistols that he had because all of them were like single shot pistols. Okay, so now it makes sense. They had multiple shots.
Yeah, it's one shot apiece for each of these. It's,
So each that is just for the projectile, right? It's not the fine powder also.
no, it's not the fine powder. The fine powder would be in the priming fluid.
Yeah, it's just the you know,
This goes down
It's just
the
for the
barrel.
projectile.
yeah,
Yeah,
just for the projectile.
and then there's usually a separate. There is a separate glass, like on this one. It's this one, but this is similar. That would have the very fine powder that goes in the priming pan.
Priming pan. Okay.
Like the amount of powder that you put down the barrel is a lot. Like, you know, up to 100 grains.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like this is, I think drilled out slightly less than that. But,
Probably, yeah.
but yeah, so it takes a fairly heavy amount of powder down the barrel, but the priming pan, again, very fine powder, better quality,
Yeah, yeah,
and only a little bit of it.
Ah, okay. Did the soldiers also have to cast their own bullets, or was that already given to them from the armory or things like that?
Generally speaking, they were given it, you know,
Uh-huh.
from stores
Right.
that were managed by their superiors.
Superiors, right, right,
They
right.
didn't cast their own. I think the whole casting your own thing is a bit of a
I think here you might have found more of that, you know, in the hinterlands,
Right, right.
in the colonies. But, you know, in Europe with like what was then modern military supply, you know, you didn't really need to.
Right. So that was also, and all of them were round bullets. There were not conical bullets
That's
yet.
right, they're all round.
All round, there were no
We have
conicals.
some here. This is a small gauge, not for this weapon, but that's
Well, that's quite a heavy load.
Oh yes.
yeah.
If that hits you, you'll feel it.
Oh yes.
Well, one of the things, because it's lead and it's soft, when it hits, it's
It
gonna
flattens out,
spread
flattens out.
Now it'll blow a hole through you like that.
But wait a minute, if it hits just soft tissue, it shouldn't, right? It should only when it hits bone.
Yeah, but you have bone not very
Yeah,
far
right, not
below,
far
right?
away. Yeah, right, you're
Like,
right.
if you, pretty much, it's kind of hard to hit someone with that projectile
And not hit
not
hit bone somewhere.
You know,
Yes,
I mean,
yes,
maybe you
yeah.
might be able to get someone in the butt.
yes,
Like there's actually a
sideways.
famous, yeah, there's someone famous that did happen to, but generally speaking, it's hard to miss bony material.
Was this in gauges or caliber? How was this measured?
Well, that's a good question. They would refer to it as number of balls of the pound rolling in the barrel.
Uh-huh.
So, say if your barrel was large enough that the ball that you took 12 balls to the pound rolling in, 12 gauge.
Oh, really?
So
that's where that number.
That's where that.
That's where it
comes
came from.
Yes, it's the number.
I didn't know that.
It's the number of balls that you can roll down the barrel per pound that equals a pound.
Oh, wow. I didn't know. I thought 12 gauge had some other
Yeah, no.
origination.
Yeah, no. It's just how many, in a pound. If you have a pound of them, that size, then whatever the size of the barrel is, however many go into a pound. So,
Oh, okay. And this is where you held the fine powder,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, these are both ones for fine powder.
Now, was there any, as far as quantity that you had to put in there, or was it a measured amount that is put out, or was it just eyeballing
It
it?
was just eyeballing it.
Uh-huh.
Basically, you fill the pan up.
I mean, the pan doesn't hold a lot.
Right,
you know,
right,
and
right.
You want to.
Yeah, it's
wanna,
not much.
You don't need a lot, and we're going to close the pan cover. So
Yeah.
You don't want it to. One of the parts of the drill, in fact, is after you've closed that pan cover, you want to shake off any loose gunpowder.
Right.
Because if you've got loose gunpowder floating around there,
When you go to cock and try the match,
Yeah.
set it off too soon.
Right, too soon, right. But still, there was quite a big flash coming out here once you set it off.
Yes, there is.
It does kind of a boom
Yeah.
when that all engages, and then
And even when the main charge gets fired off, you get some of it coming out of the hole here too.
Sound.
Yeah, it does make a little bit of a sound from there.
Yeah. So you hear this sound before
Yeah.
the main charge goes
A
off.
little boom.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's quite
And
interesting.
it fires quite reliably. People imagine because it's a very simple mechanism.
Oh, this is on a spring.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So I thought it was just like on the levers and just moved over, but this is actually on a
Yeah,
spring.
there's a leaf spring inside.
Oh, there is.
Inside the mechanism.
Yeah, so that you have complete control over it.
Right.
Yeah.
You need.
So that means it wouldn't, otherwise it would stay there. Have to move it by hand.
You know, you learn the touch when you're firing one of these. You don't want to go like that because it will swamp the end of the match.
Right. It will extinguish it. Yes.
Extinguish it. But you know, you just do an even shoot like that,
Uh-huh.
and boom.
Boom, it goes off. Now these didn't have. Did any of these matchlocks ever have provisions to hold a
Bayonet?
bayonet?
No, that is actually bayonets first come in around.
Because they were like two different soldiers. One soldier was a rifleman. One soldier was a pikeman, I think. Yes,
Exactly.
pikeman.
And it was not until the end of the 17th century that they started making plug bayonets. Of course, that's kind of useless.
Right, because it's
then
useless.
you can't
Yeah, can't fire it. Right.
But then, then they got a little smarter as, a couple of decades
Mm-hmm.
later, and then, they could
And
actually
pike style combat never caught on here in the Americas.
Right. It was mostly European
It's
theater.
European because
Yeah,
the
European.
European theater. I mean, there's large, flat.
Like flat fields and things
fields,
that they
and
could.
you can deploy hundreds of men
Yeah.
in blocks of pike, and
Mm-hmm.
a block of pike is very hard to deal with.
Right.
I mean, obviously it's a giant game of rock paper scissors.
Right.
Pike can be taken down by firearms or cannon,
Mm-hmm.
but
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
but in the Americas there was never the kind of
Right.
terrain
To
deploy that sort of
deploy. Yeah,
force.
because mostly when they came here, mostly everything was covered in woods and things like that. So there were very few fields,
Yeah, I mean there were
except in marshes, marshy areas. Yeah.
which also you can't really march through.
Yeah, you
marshes
can't
very
march
well,
through
can you? Because
through
you
either. You're right. You're
you
right.
know, like you sink in, up,
Mm-hmm.
even if it's got firm ground under it.
Now, I also heard that they, especially with these matchlocks, that the outstructure was like an assistant that actually had another rifle that he was like charging and everything else like that, and they just switched rifles
Actually,
between two people.
You find that in siege situations
Uh-huh.
where you've got several snipers, and you might have, they might take a shot and then hand the shot back, get one that's loaded.
Right. Already.
Yeah, but that would be, if you had, siege lions.
Oh,
and
okay,
things
something like that.
People
Oh,
are-
yeah.
You're not going anywhere.
Right,
You're either, managing, like you're either on the wall of the place they're besieging,
Yeah.
which case you've got people behind you and beside you behind the parapet, or you're, you know, on the ground.
On the ground.
Where you've got, you know, kind of some protective barriers, hopefully, you know.
Right.
You know, like woven wickerwork things.
Right.
And stuff
Yeah,
like
we see that. Yeah.
There was wicker work even during the Civil War. They used, and even during the Crimean War, I remember seeing that.
Yeah, that goes back to the Middle Ages.
I mean, even if you look at I think even in the beginning of World War I, they still were using a little bit of wicker, and then they said, forget about this, we'll just go underground. Yeah. But I know I saw a lot of wicker during Civil War and the Crimean War.
Yeah, to make barriers.
Yeah. Very interesting. So what caliber or gauge is this
I
one?
would say that's probably about 705 maybe.
And this one here?
That one, that's about 45, I would say.
Could they hunt animals with these or not?
Oh.
Was it capable?
You could, but the match cord is so stinky. You know,
Oh,
it's
okay.
like when it's burning, it's like it has a smell all its own, and it's pungent. And you know, you just like when match cord is burning, it's like, oh, there's match cord. Even with my nose, you know.
Yeah.
And you can imagine how it would smell to an animal.
Right.
Oh.
So, but hunting weapons, hunting for animals, at least in Europe,
Was a high class.
was a very
Right.
thing. The average person did not
Couldn't do that. It was
and
mostly
they
like,
had
yeah.
exquisite weapons.
Right, for that. Right.
Really beautiful. I mean, they're in castles today. In Germany.
Yeah, I know. You see, even in museums, you see them
See 'em.
decorated. There's especially the metal is decorated, the wood is decorated. Yeah.
Inlaid with white mother of bone. And
So those were not made for actual combat.
No.
Those were made for hunting or for things like that.
Yeah, things like that.
Yeah,
Very
yeah.
high-end activities with very, you know, rich people.
And much of the firearms were coming out of, at that time, were coming out of Germany, southern Germany, quite a lot. Obviously stuff coming from the Netherlands too, but southern Germany was just the center of production of, you know, almost like semi-industrial. It was that as well established and that extensive. Yeah, you know, like you can, there are people savvy of these kinds of firearms that can look at that and say, oh, that's a musket that was made in the city of Seoul, for example, because it looks like
Right.
a musket that came from Seoul. You
From
know?
a certain areas. Yes.
Exactly.
And they had been, you know, these are parts of Europe that had been making metal things for 1,000 years.
Thousands of years. Yeah. Right.
Like in Charlemagne's
Metal
day.
working, you know, all that stuff.
Well,
Yeah.
and I mean, even in the Roman period, you know, there
Yeah.
was
And because
sword making. And
because
so-
that part of Europe in particular has all the ingredients to make steel.
Steel. Right.
They've got coal deposits, so you need that
Yeah,
for the hot fire.
right.
Yeah.
They've got the iron ore,
Yeah.
and they've got tons of forest because you need the wood
Yeah.
Charcoal.
to make charcoal.
Charcoal and stuff. So
So,
so it's
so
it's-
those parts of the world have been making firearms, making first initially swords and those kinds of weapons.
doing metal work.
Metal
Doing,
work.
You know, high class and
Yeah.
you know, technically
Now,
advanced.
where did they get their sources for gunpowder, saltpeter, and all that stuff?
Oh,
In
well,
Europe.
So in
Did-
Europe, so charcoal is one of the ingredients.
Right.
Ammonia, so urine.
Oh, urea.
Yeah,
From
I,
animals.
I know. Like for example, you know the Galapagos Islands down in off of South
Yeah.
America.
Yeah.
Those Galapagos Islands were all filled with bird guano,
Yes.
and they
That's right,
actually were mining that and
Yeah.
using that as ingredients in gunpowder.
That's
Yeah.
right.
It's so wild. I feel sorry for the people that had to do the manual labor because
I
that
would
must.
think so. That
Oh
must
my
be
God!
awful.
Because I know a friend of ours had like chickens. Like she had like about 10 chickens. Oh, the smell!
Smell when
I
they're
think
filthy.
chickens and pigs are the worst. Like horse dung. That actually smells good.
Yeah. I mean,
it's grass
Even
mainly,
cow,
right?
even cow.
Yeah.
But chicken and pigs. Oh my God! So I feel sorry for people who have to go dig out that guano.
Yeah.
Oh my God! I wouldn't have. You couldn't pay me enough to do that.
No.
I have to be in prison to do that.
It's like being a sanitation man. I know they pay well, but ugh.
But they pay well, you know.
They pay well,
I
so,
wouldn't mind doing that.
You know, if you're
That's not a bad
so
job.
good, but
But as I said, then there off of the Galapagos Islands,
Yeah.
that's where they were digging
Yeah,
guano,
sure.
and that was a
And-
big source.
Yeah, exactly. And with industrialization, it became an important, chemical
Yeah,
for
yeah.
all kinds of
For other
industrial
things,
processes,
too.
not just like
Yeah.
the gunpowder process by any means.
Yeah,
But, yeah.
very, very interesting. There's another matchlock.
Yeah, we have several. In fact, I think there's 4 of them here.
yeah.
Right now, there's a certain amount of variety.
Hmm.
These are the kinds of things that the native people would take in trade.
Take and trade.
And so they, little steel knives, because obviously,
Not very
This is
sharp.
dull.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
they're on purpose.
Yeah.
Everybody picks that up and
Because
says,
all
is
the
this
little
sharp?"
kids go like that along the
You
knife.
can't shave with this one.
Yeah.
No, you
it's
can't.
like,
That's on purpose.
but we've
And
had-
the glass beads. Now these would have come on 6-foot strings.
yeah, big strings.
And they use that for as trade or as
Yes.
currency.
Well,
kind of.
it's kind of a
Kind of a
line
little of
between.
both.
The initially the things like wampum, which we only have a few little pieces of it,
But that is real
Oh,
water.
that
real
is
shell
that's
water.
from shells.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's the type of shell it would come from.
and that used to
Were
be.
these local shells to the area or not?
Those, I think I picked those up in Provincetown in Cape Cod.
Oh, okay.
But it would have been all along from Long Island Sound, up along the Connecticut coast, Rhode Island, up around Cape Cod, Massachusetts, and up to
Cape
about
Ann.
Gloucester, Massachusetts.
Oh, okay.
Is
And
where
that's
those
that's the only part of the world where the quahog grows.
Grows, really?
Yeah. So it's actually
What makes this so special? Besides its color, what is it that made it so valuable that they use it in trade?
Well, it's difficult to produce or challenging to produce. So so there's value in that. Prior to contact, it was the wampum was an object of trade isn't the right word, but exchange
Right.
and gift,
Right.
and was more ceremonial.
Did it have flexible value? In other words, the number of beads?
well, eventually it.
Eventually,
I mean,
that
yeah,
worked
not
because
initially.
because the Dutch codified it.
Yeah.
The Dutch, merchanty people codified all of it. But it was far. It had during the pre-contact period, far more of a ceremonial and
Like you might make an agreement between 2 groups of people, and you'll exchange gifts of equal value. And
Right,
the gifts
right.
were often belts or things like that made of wampum, because the wampum was certainly special. I mean, we were just saying that the shells that produce that only grow along the Atlantic
Of
coast.
certain areas, right.
From about New
Now,
York.
let me
to-
ask you this: since we know that Indians did not have metal,
Right.
how was this drilled out?
so that's they could drill it out with harder stone tools. It would not be as fine as that. The very fine holes came after European contact, but they certainly could pierce pierce the holes with their technology, but it would not be as tiny a.
Because I would think that that it will flake no matter what.
It is generally chippy. The shell just by of its own is kind of chippy.
Right,
So
right.
I
And this is hard material
it is
to begin with.
very hard
So,
material.
to drill it out with anything made of stone, that must have been a lot of work and
But it's
challenging.
what they did. I mean, like there are tribes along like Long Island Sound and that whole general vicinity. They chose not even to spend their time growing food. They made wampum and they traded it
for
to other native
natives so that
tribes
they
for
could.
corn and food. Because,
Oh wow!
And
Yeah.
and the trade networks, they're long-standing and very sophisticated, and basically when the Europeans came in and sprinkled their things in with it, here's just more.
They
More
just kind of
interesting
took
stuff
advantage
to
of a
trade
network
for,
that already
added
existed.
to the trade network.
Yes.
But things like, it's steel technology, so something like that's handy.
Was metalworking and metal objects more valuable to the American Indians than wampum or beads or other things?
Kind of, because there wasn't
Steel technology, but the indigenous people had their own uses. Like, for example, brass kettles, might possibly have been used to cook in, but they have perfectly fine cooking technology in clay pots. Europeans cooked in clay pots.
Right.
Everybody cooked in clay pots, so that worked fine. But they would take that brass then and cut it up and make projectile points out of it, make beads or objects of adornment, use it for different purposes from the way the Europeans first conceived of this is a cook pot.
So this is where then you rested your rifle on this.
Yes, exactly.
and it's burning.
So this actually made the shot that you made a little bit more accurate, I would think, than holding it just because of the weight itself.
The weight itself.
Yeah.
When you've got a piece that weighs 16 pounds, you can put it up your shoulder and fire it, but having a rest so that you can support it and really sight in.
Oh, so you had to carry that, you had to carry the powder, you had to carry this.
Yes.
Oh my God, back in the day, the soldiers had to carry a lot.
Well, they carry 100-pound, rucks today out into the field. So, and the soldiers that went over the top in the Somme in 1916 were
carrying all those things. Yeah. Interesting.
So it's like we've been trying to emphasize when we do these kinds of talks that the Europeans kind of like parachuted down into an already very sophisticated native trade network.
The trade network, that was the big.
Yes, through they were bringing in copper from the Great Lakes. Because there were copper that was mineable or was able.
But then how come the Indians did not actually smelt the copper, or?
Yeah, so So I'm not sure about how much actual things like smelting they were doing, or whether they were just finding surface metals and then working that.
Just working the metal without smelting it.
Yeah, that I'm not sure about, but I suspect they may be finding deposits on the surface, because I guess it's there's a fair bit of it, out there. But then, that would be traded east and traded south through all these different networks.
But they never used any of that thing to make arrowheads or anything like that?
I think so.
Everything was always stone?
Yeah, so quite honestly,
bone?
Stone, flaked stone, is a better blade and a better knife.
Yeah, you could get a
what
sharper
you-
edge.
you get a
Yes,
much
actually,
better-
I took a class in flaking, snapping, and you could come up with a really sharp.
And there are uses
Stones then.
today in modern surgery for flaked obsidian blades for very fine microsurgery.
Really?
Yes, I was recently reading this that even this technology, this ancient technology, is still being used today for certain applications because it is literally the sharpest blade you can.
Yeah, and you
Can't sharpen a
can't
sealed
sharpen it. Yeah, any more than that. Wow.
which I like is just mind blowing.
I did not. So the Indians used the ore that they found in trade, and not actual to make any weapons or arrowheads or things like that, or knives and blades.
Actually, what you find is it more being used like pieces taken and rolled into long tubular beams. Also, larger pieces being used as like crochets and chess pieces and different things. There's an account of by European traders of meeting natives on I think it was Cape Cod, it might have been a little slightly further north up the Massachusetts coast, where he has like basically a sash of copper, tubular copper beads about that size, like several row sash of it around him, you know, like across, you know, with like tons of copper beads. So,
Right,
you know,
right.
copper
Oh, okay, yeah. So they definitely used it in trade, and it had some sense of copper, but not.
yeah, I mean, it was being, it was,
So as you said, yeah, you are right. Actually, the stone arrowheads are a lot sharper
it really
and
is
a lot
better
more
technology, you know, and
than
it's
metal.
it's easy to deal with. It's cheap because it's right
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
and you can just go, you know, if you're good at it.
Yeah, and even if they would use a brass for an arrowhead, it's more flexible. That is, it does not hold a straight blade.
It doesn't,
it
and
doesn't
You
point.
can just like you can get those little points, especially the small points. That
Yeah.
like those things can be just.
Oh yes,
sharp as
extremely
all
sharp.
get out.
Yes.
You know, like doing up your arrows with something like that. I mean, that's,
priming powder.
Yeah, yep, that is.
you know, it's kind of, I would imagine, less work than making, you know, cutting out the brass, doing the things. It's just
So because I see that you have some coinage there.
Yeah.
Were the Indians interested in actually using coinage in any of their trades, or was it mostly these kind of
I
things?
think it was mostly objects.
Uh-huh.
You know, the Europeans obviously had a coin, you know, currency-based society and everything, and coins made their way here, but just so much was just being traded, you know, Europeans amongst themselves.
Right,
because
right.
there was coin, but not a lot of coin over here. So, you know, there would have been money taken on account, and then, when you get, say, you have your harvest, and then you're going to pay.
Yeah, everything
this person,
was
you know,
based
3
based on the
bushels
harvest,
of-
and then you get paid.
Exactly. So,
Or even when you went to the grist mill, the people who did that work actually got paid in
Yes,
certain amount of grain
exactly.
as
so,
a
you want an
compensation.
X, and so, well, that'll be a bushel of wheat. for
Right,
example.
right.
And then, you know, you show up with your sack. full
Yeah,
of, you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
Oh, here's a bushel's worth of wheat. So, you know, it's just, it's, you know, different from how, you know, we are so money-based.
Right.
So, kind of like getting your head around that, of how that
Yeah,
works is
yeah.
interesting.
Very interesting. So they did not consider coinage as a substitute for the actual objects that
No,
they
it
were
wasn't
trading
that kind
in.
of representative thing that we have. Oh, this coin equals, you know, 1 coin equals 2 fathoms wampum equals
Right.
blah, 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 blah. You know, a European would be thinking.
Right, we'll be able to think that way.
But
Right.
I think that, you know, native traders much less, because they just, you know, honestly, they didn't grow up with it.
Right. Interesting.
For some reason, that muskrat, he must have got bored.
And more from any of these here original?
No.
Or all of them are
These are all
reproductions?
reproductions. This was made by a man named William Wilson down out in Arizona. This one was initially made by a man named John Buck down in Virginia, but I took the and it's mine. I took the piece though and I modified it quite a bit. He had put some sort of like I think he put linseed oil and hadn't really let it cure and dry well enough. It was always kind of sticky.
Always sticky at the hand. Yeah.
And like I finally was like, I hate that. I'm going to redo it. And so I reshaped things. I added,
Are these decorations?
yeah, they're little decorations that you see on muskets in that time period. You know, little bone end caps, little another cap on the end of the scouring stick, stuff like that. Just a few little things.
And what was the firing rate on these?
So
How many shots can you get off in a minute?
I
2, 3?
nah, I think you can
Or
get
less.
off. you could get off, I think, you know, an okay shot could probably get off about 1 a minute. I have a friend,
1 a minute?
I have a friend who could do 2. And he was quite fast. But I think, you know, 1 a minute.
1 a minute was,
If you're, you know, just not going super fast. and
Right,
not,
right,
you
right,
know,
right.
Being unsafe.
right, safe too. Right.
Not all of them can dive that deep, but they know that
You know, you can definitely get off
They
to
all,
a
one
minute.
by one,
A little bit unsafe.
Right.
decide to dive into the darkness as deep as they can. Deep as
Now,
they
the
can.
gunpowder that they used back then was very dirty. That is to say, it gummed up the barrel
Well, and
back in the day,
to
and
be
they
honest-
had to like swab it out clean every once in a while, because otherwise it wouldn't even fire.
Yes, absolutely. And it's even with modern black powder, the residue builds up.
I know,
And it
yeah,
gets-
but it's not as bad as it was back
not as messy as it
300, 400 years ago.
So I fired this at a frolic last year, and over the day, I think I probably put about 30 shots on it. It started out, it's a 75 caliber, and I was firing like a 735. After a while, it's like, it's getting hard to get the ball down the thing. I think I'll drop back to 715.
Right.
And so I fire that, and I think by the end of the day, I was down to 705. I just kind of keep stepping it down,
Stepping
stepping it down. But that's probably far more shots than the average soldier
Would actually use, so he wouldn't have a variety of gauges.
Wouldn't have a variety of gauges, and there is always the field expediency where you take and you pee down the barrel.
Oh, okay.
And
So that actually helped?
It would because of the certain degree of acidity.
Right,
in urine.
right.
It would kind of at least clean the worst of it out,
Yeah.
and you could just like kind of tip it upside down, and hope for the best.
Is that actually an expression, peeing down the barrel?
Oh,
Or is
no,
it? I don't know. I don't know. That's a new one. I never heard of that one. But it is interesting. It is interesting.
Of the world that we know. The good things were
Hey,
created.
welcome.
Thank you.